Look up from your telescope, take me on this journey home. I don't wanna wait no more. Lay me down behind the moon.
Okay, so here's the thing. I've been spending a lot of time on Instagram and Pinterest recently. I've been seeing a lot of these like oversized scrunchies and like different hair accessories, like those hairbands that are like fabric, and I think they're really cute. So I went ahead and I checked like some of the stores here. I can show you. Like, look at how cute this is. Like, look at that. So these are some of the things that I've been seeing a lot of recently. And I really want my own. I think these hair accessories are really cute, and I've been trying to sew a lot recently. Like I've been trying to learn how to make my own clothes. I've been trying to learn how to pattern. I've been trying to learn how to use different fabrics and all those things. I don't have a lot of sewing experience. I've made a few things, but because I'm trying to learn, I've accumulated a lot of fabric scraps. So I thought that it would be a good idea to use them to make smaller things like scrunchies and these other hair accessories that I keep seeing all over Pinterest and Instagram. The thing is, I don't have a plan on how I want to do this, but I'm going to, in a way, wing it. Yeah, so let's get to it. So a scrunchie is basically a long tube of fabric around a piece of elastic. So to start, first we're going to cut out a rectangle from this fabric scrap. A quick tip, to make it easier to cut straight, you can fold the fabric over itself several times, so you end up making one short cut on several layers of fabric. The size of the rectangle for a normal scrunchie is 3.5 by 22 inches. Then, we're going to fold it down and sew it right sides together with a sewing machine. Okay, so now once you have this tube, it'll look like this. I then cut an 8-inch piece of elastic to put inside. So basically what you want to do is we're going to be turning this tube inside out, putting the elastic inside, sewing the elastic shut, and then sewing the scrunchie shut. I used a safety pin to turn the fabric inside out, so I just attached it to one end and pulled it through the entire piece. I use the same technique with the safety pin to pull the elastic through the tube, pinning it to one end so that it doesn't get lost while I pull the safety pin. I closed off the elastic with a bunch of forward and backward stitches to make sure that it was secure. Finally, I just folded the raw edges of the scrunchie down and sealed that together with a straight stitch across. You should end up with something that looks like this. And there you have it. A scrunchie. Ta-da! Yes, this low ponytail is weird. I just did it for the sake of demonstration. So yeah. So this is a normal size scrunchie, but I really want to make the oversized scrunchies. So now that we have this small scrunchie, we're basically gonna do the same steps to make the oversized scrunchie, except with a lot more fabric. I'm gonna be using this fabric. It's already kind of big. So I want to do a piece that is, instead of 3.5 inches in the mini scrunchie, I want to do 9.5 inches down there. Then we're gonna do 40 inches instead of 22. So for this small scrunchie, we basically did 3.5 inches by 22 inches. So for this, I measured out 9.5 inches by 44. If you don't have a piece of fabric that's this big, especially if you're working with scraps, what you can do is you can overlap some of the fabrics and then you can stitch them down. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna follow the same steps. We're gonna sew it into a tube, right sides together if your fabric is like that. Turn it inside out and put the elastic inside. So now that I have it turned inside out, I'm going to take another 8-inch piece of elastic, and then I'm going to pin it down in one side just so that it doesn't get lost when I pull it out the other. Oh my gosh, look at how pretty this is so far. Okay, so now we're just gonna sew the two elastics shut. So to close it, what you can do is you can take the two seams. So here's one and here's the other. Then you can pin it down and then you can just sew it inside. Okay, after you do that, you should have a little bit of space that you can no longer machine sew. So I'm just gonna hand stitch this with a needle and some white thread. Actually, I think it's really messy. I really hate hand stitching. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna sew really close to the edge with a straight stitch to seal it off, which shouldn't be seen just because of how much fabric there is all over. So here it is, the oversized scrunchie. For reference, this is the small one we made earlier. It sits like this on my wrist. This one sits like this. And here is how both of the scrunchies turned out.
She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. You see her walking down the boulevard. She got the posture of a super.
So on TikTok, I've been seeing a lot of people wearing these fabric hairbands, and I think they're super cute. I know that they're really simple to make. So to make use of my scrap fabric one last time, let's make a cloth hairband. So to make the final DIY of this video, which is the cloth hairband, I'm going to be using this piece of scrap fabric that I used to make masks. When I was cutting it, I already kind of had the idea that I wanted to use the scraps of this for a hairband, so I left this. So basically, again, I cut this into a rectangle with a length that would fit almost completely around my head. I followed the same technique as earlier with the scrunchie. I folded the fabric on itself and cut it straight across. I then folded it into a tube and sewed that right sides together along the longer edge and turned it inside out. I then measured how long of a piece of elastic I would need to connect the two ends together to make it fit around my head completely. I made a second tube twice as long as that piece of elastic and pinned it to each end of the fabric tube. I sewed it down with a lot of forward and backward stitches and turned it inside out. Finally, I connected that scrunched out tube to the actual hairband with a straight stitch. And here's how the hairband turned out, paired with another montage of me being really excited about what I made. So that's it for this video. I hope that this was helpful or informative one way or another. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Once you get to meet her, she's a Mona Lisa.